What's going on YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Superman issue number 27. This one is written by Joshua Williamson with several other artists working on it. This actually is sort of an epilogue to the whole like Pharm and Graft thing and Lex Luthor and Mercy Graves and the evil robotic Lex that Mercy had created and all the other stuff. Lois losing her powers. We also see what's going on with Jimmy. We can catch up with him and Silver Banshee. And Luthor goes off in his thing, and then they also kind of set the stage for what's next as well for DC now with the epilogue. So let's quickly summarize the stuff that happened. So as we open up the issue, Lois, of course, does not have her powers anymore. She's kind of back to being like normal Lois Lane. She did miss her infield reporting stuff. She's like, hey, you know what? I'm content with being me. Yeah, it was fun to be Superwoman for a while, but, you know, I've accepted that. And also Jimmy comes back. He's got some injuries on his hands, and he's like, Lois is really excited to see him. Then of course Silver Banshee's there. She's not in her like metahuman state, and she's like, oh, this is all Superwoman's fault. Next time I see her, I'm going to unleash hell on her. And Jimmy's like, hey, no villain. He's like, well, maybe just a little bit. So that's going on. And we also see Superman, because he was like, you know, like Pharm and Graft lets them all kind of escape their prison. Superman's been affected with the red kryptonite rage. Marilyn Moon Knight, who's like the protector of Metropolis, came in to face off against him, and he needs some sort of cure for his red kryptonite stuff. Of course, we also have Pharm and Graft as well. Lex, of course, escaped. He confronts Mercy, and it seems like it's getting romantic, intimate, and then he kind of just disappears for a while. And then, of course, the ultimate thing is Luthor did have, who is now kind of like in charge of his memories, helps Superman defeat Pharm and Graft, and also gives him kind of the key to curing his red kryptonite thing, which ends up being Marilyn Moon Knight. So she hits him and is like, hey, I'm cured, I'm good. So that's, you know, that's nice stuff too. So, and of course Superman goes to find where Mercy Graves at with Supercorp. Of course, now Supercorp, as we come to find by the end of the issue, is back to LexCorp, and it's all gone back to like in control of Mercy Graves. So while Lex Luthor goes off the grid to do who knows what. So, and there's also some nice Superman and Lois moments. So that's the rundown of the plot. And then in the epilogue, we see what happened to Booster Gold, because he's been with Darkseid's absolute legion of superheroes this whole time, because he all the way back in, was it the DC All-In special, he kind of vanished into like the Absolute universe. I haven't been reading all the Absolute titles, just Absolute Batman. I mean, there's a lot of DC titles. It's hard to keep up with, but I guess I could devote a little bit of time to kind of reading that. And we see Darkseid, aka the Time Trapper, who now needs to go, and who's it he has to go find? He has to find the World Forger, because he knows that like it's kind of the end of everything, and they're setting the stage for like Doomsday Net to be involved. I mean, if the other comic book, DC book, one of the other DC books I covered this week was the conclusion to the We Are Yesterday event, and we saw that Doomsday and the World Forger already had kind of met up with one another, so those two directly kind of tie in. And next, it seems that Darkseid's Legion of Doom is going to find Superman. So I'm sure we're gonna get, will we get Darkseid versus like Time Trapper Doomsday in this thing? I don't exactly know, but it seems like that's what we're maybe going to lead to in some sort of capacity. It seems like he's kind of facing off with this Dark Legion of Doom or whatever, or Legion of Doom, Legion of Superheroes or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff that's going on. I'm sorry I'm a little scattershot trying to describe all that happens. There is a lot that happens in this thing, but at least it has some pretty good looking artwork, and it seems like now we're going to kind of bring on more of the Absolute universe, making its way into the main, back to the main universe again. So they kind of were off splitting their own things, created its own universe in Darkseid's image, and now some of that is going to be spreading back into the main DC universe. So also, like I said, the artists on this one, I should mention, are Eddie Burrows, Eber Ferreira, and Sean Isaac. So a lot of different people worked on this thing, and the artwork looks really damn good in this thing. Like, this is a beautifully drawn comic from like start to finish. And yeah, so Pharm and Graft there also did their thing. They were kind of defeated as well. I liked how Superman took the Supercorp logo and just all of his kryptonite rage, just kind of used it to kind of defeat them. And then, of course, Marilyn Moon Knight was kind of the key to curing his thing. And he's ticked off at Mercy, but now she's back in control. And, you know, Lois is there as well. And Superman can't seem to find Lex. And that's, like I said, basically all that's kind of going on in this thing. So, yeah, this is a nice little story arc, the way it kind of wrapped. I think it's kind of wrapped up at this point with the whole Superman Red thing. And I think now that Lex is off the table, he's off going on his own path of isolation. I'm sure Lex Luthor will come back when the world kind of needs him most. He always finds some maniacal scheme to kind of get his way back in power and on top and all that too. So I'm sure that's going to be the case with this thing too. And now we see that Jimmy's there. He was able to help calm down Silver Banshee a little bit, who still wants to go after Superwoman, but we know Lois Lane was Superwoman. And now that she no longer has her powers, it's like, you're probably not going to see Superwoman again. But Jimmy's just kind of there to kind of keep her in check in that too. So, and it was nice to see Jimmy back and all that as well. So, pretty decent issue overall. I really like the artwork style, and with the epilogue and seeing how it all kind of ties in, I'm sure there's a lot of titles that, you know, there's a lot of titles I'm not reading, and I'm sure they're all kind of connected in some sort of capacity. I'll have to kind of look to see like what's really kind of tying into this whole all-in story again, just to kind of get more of everything. Because like I said, we see where Darkseid, if you watch my latest Justice League Unlimited video, you see how Time Trapper Doomsday meets up with the World Forger or whatever, and time's kind of messed up and broken. So all this is just going to be kind of a chaotic mess, it seems like. But we'll see how DC handles the whole situation, because now we're getting into the whole like Summer of Superman thing. I think even at the end of the issue it mentions that. Let's see, yada yada yada. Where is it again? What does it say? Next to be continued next month, Superman meets Darkseid's Legion as the countdown to DC's biggest event of the year begins. That's right, we're getting another event. You guys tired of events? Actually, it feels like we have gone a smidge of time since the last, what was the last one? Absolute Power? Actually, Absolute Power wasn't that long ago, was it? Like, was it this year? Or was it like last year? I think it was earlier this year was Absolute Power. And then it kind of like changed the landscape again, and then we got new creatives in that too. So yeah, we're 6 months in the year. God damn it. I'm losing track of time here, people. Like, it's hard to keep track. We're already like almost at the halfway point of the year. In fact, we're actually going to be hitting the halfway point like Monday, Tuesday, because like I said, we'll be done with June and then moving into July. So we're already halfway through 2025, which is insane to think about. And Superman's going to be coming out soon as well. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing that movie when it drops, and I'll be sure to do a video on it. I got like one of the early Tuesday screenings for it, so as soon as that's done, I'm just going to be like all in. Let's go watch Superman, and I'm excited for that too. So, but anyways, pretty solid comic book. I'm curious to know what they're going to be doing with Lex now that he's off in isolation. We know Lena, I think, went off to Smallville maybe to find where Kara's at, if I recall correctly. Now that like Silver Banshee, she has that vendetta against Superwoman, but with Lois no longer there, is there going to be a follow-up to that in some capacities? I don't know. And now that we have Darkseid's like Legion of Superheroes making their way from the Absolute Universe, and we see where Booster Gold's at, into this one, is this going to cross over into Justice League Unlimited? How is that all going to work? And you have Time that's being kind of messed with all over the place. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the main DC universe and even the Absolute Universe, like at this current state of time. And it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of unfolds. So, yep, pretty, solid overall for me. I look forward to seeing what they do next, what kind of crazy, wacky plot lines are in the pages of Superman. So, but with all that said, that's going to wrap it up for the DC comic book reviews for this particular week. I hope you all enjoyed them. I'm sure I'm going to get some other types of like videos out between now and the weekend. Maybe another after the movie or two. I'm going to maybe try and see that Megan 2.0 and maybe that 28 years later, perhaps, or maybe I'll just wait for streaming for that one too. So who exactly knows, but I'm sure there'll be at least like one other video between now and the weekend before we go into whatever happens next week. So, but also check out some of the other stuff I did. Like, if you like my Monsterverse stuff, check out the Return to Skull Island video and some of the other DC stuff. So I got this one posted today. I also had the Green Arrow one posted today as well. So yep, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace out.